At this moment, the world has entered the Ice Age. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 701. Dear viewers, I'm your old friend Xihai. Today, we especially got the shooting license for the launch scene of the Xihai satellite in Ying City. So, today, we will watch the first Xihai satellite up close. Launch. Among all the cities, Ying City has the most abundant urban resources and a relatively higher level of technology. This is what enabled it to complete the construction plan for the Xihai 873 star in the first time. And this first Sky Thunder satellite also heralds my country's first defensive laying of outer space on Earth, and it plays an extremely important role in my country's space industry. At this time, a huge satellite rocket of the Yanjing Engineering Center was standing there. And many reporters around it were surrounded by groups with their own cameras. If it hadn't been for a staff member to stop them, perhaps reporters would have climbed directly on the satellite rocket and observed it carefully. Attention everyone, it is expected that the satellite rocket will be ready for launch in 1 hour. Please retreat to a safe distance at that time to avoid accidents. At this moment, Ying Ziyue was standing in a tall building not far from the satellite launching tower, looking at the satellite launching tower in the distance through the glass. He was also very concerned about the launch of the first Xihai satellite. After all, the Xihai satellite was developed by him. If the effect he expected is not achieved, then the entire Earth will be in crisis. The launch of this first Xihai satellite is not only the first launch of Xihai satellite, but also the first time that mankind has established its own defense mechanism in space. Soon, when the Xihai satellite arrived, the staff immediately began to evacuate the surrounding reporters. When it was time to launch, dear viewers, everyone sees that the staff has started to drive the onlookers. The reporters around the satellite rocket indicate that the satellite rocket is about to be launched. Maybe everyone is worried. How can we see the launch scene of the satellite rocket at close range when we are so far away? Don't worry, we have already applied for a very good viewing location. Xihai did have a certain means to get into the observation tower near the satellite launch pad. I saw that the tail of the satellite rocket lit up with a fire, and accompanied by a huge sound, a large amount of flame spewed out from the bottom of the satellite rocket. The flame produced a huge impact and successfully launched the satellite rocket into the sky. As the figure of the satellite rocket became smaller and smaller in the sky, everyone couldn't help but look at the big screen. Aside point, this allows people to feel the launching process of the satellite rocket more intuitively. They specially hung a huge display screen on the observation tower on the side. This huge display shows that the rocket has arrived in outer space, and then the body of the rocket begins to separate. Eventually, the Xihai satellite ejects and floats in space, opening its black wings. The appearance of Xihai satellites does not look much different from ordinary satellites. At this moment, the body of Xihai satellite split open, and a steel needle emerged from it. A series of lightning flashed from the needle, and an electromagnetic ball condensed in front of it. Crackling. I saw this electromagnetic ball directly hit the surface of the moon, after being controlled by the Sky Thunder satellite. With a bang, a deep pit appeared on the moon's surface immediately. Chapter 702. Seeing that the electromagnetic gun had exploded a huge deep hole on the surface of the moon, everyone couldn't help but breathe in air conditioning. When I first saw this Sky Thunder satellite, I was a little disappointed. It looks no different from an ordinary satellite, but I never thought that it could launch such a powerful electromagnetic gun. Today, the scientific research level of the Great Eastern countries has reached a point beyond our reach. The power of this electromagnetic gun has completely exceeded our expectations. Don't worry, you have to know that this Sky Thunder satellite is just one. Then they will launch thousands of Sky Thunder satellites. This sentence immediately woke up. Everyone was right. This Sky Thunder satellite was just one. Next, the Eastern powers will launch thousands of Sky Thunder satellites to form a defense mechanism unique to the Earth. At this time, the status of a Great Eastern country in everyone's mind could not help but be raised. Ying Ziyue looked at the reporters dumbfounded and nodded in satisfaction. He wanted this kind of effect point. If the first Xihai satellite is launched into space without any surprises, it will inevitably have a certain impact on the morale of others. This is why he asked these reporters to watch the launch of the first Sky Thunder satellite up close this time, so that people can feel the power of the country and the mighty power of the Great Eastern Country. In this way, it will not only improve the unity of the people of the Great Eastern countries, but also make other Western people worship the East even more. Leader Ying, the first Xihai satellite has now been launched. According to your instructions, we will try to keep the Xihai satellites and other first-tier cities on the same day as possible to complete the launch. It's well done. You inform them that the Sky Thunder satellites built in first-tier cities must be launched into space at the same time. At that time, I will hold another press conference. If this press conference is to let people see the power of Sky Thunder satellite, and the second press conference is to let them know what kind of defense mechanism he has built for the Earth's defense is the ultimate defense, then Ying Ziyue issued a notice that in 1 week, there will be 20 first-tier cities launching Xihai satellites at the same time point at that time. The official will broadcast live broadcasts based on these 20 first-tier cities, and the Thunder satellites of these 20 first-tier cities will be launched into space at the same time, and then a Skynet will be opened in outer space. But at that time all the people will be able to see the tip of the iceberg of the Sky Thunder defense mechanism. Hearing this news, all the people began to get excited. The time to do it passed in a hurry, and these 20 first-tier cities also strictly abide by the order to keep the Xihai satellite launched on the same day. All Sky Thunder satellites are ready, waiting for the commander's order to launch at any time, without delay. Set a simultaneous takeoff and launch 5 minutes later. Received. The launch project of the Sky Thunder satellite will begin in 5 minutes. In the live broadcast room at this time, almost all the people from the East came in. As long as they were free. They stared at the screen, accompanied by the final countdown. I saw several meteors piercing the sky like random arrows and rushing straight into the universe. If someone could see it from the sky above the Great Eastern Country at this time. These Sky Thunder satellites were launched at the same time, causing small fireworks to bloom one after another on the map of the Great Eastern Country. Chapter 703. Xihai Satellite 2 is ready for launch. Xihai Satellite 3 is ready for launch. Xihai Satellite 4 is ready for launch. Accompanied by a sound launch, the launched Sky Thunder satellite unfolded its black wings in space. Everyone watched the live broadcast intently, and those Sky Thunder satellites were suspended in space. Ying Ziyue clearly said that if there is only one Sky Thunder satellite in space, then it is no different from an electromagnetic gun suspended in space. But if there are many Sky Thunder satellites suspended in space, then they are not just a Sky Thunder satellite, they will form a power grid to defend the Earth, referred to as the Sky Thunder system. What is the charging status of Xihai 1? After the electromagnetic gun was fired last time, Xihai number 1 used solar energy to supplement its own electricity consumption for the first time, and now it has completely returned to normal use. Very good. Ready to start the first round of testing of the Sky Thunder system. Receive. The audience in the live broadcast room looked directly at the Sky Thunder satellites floating in space, and some of the barrage became impatient and began to urge, "Why haven't we started now? Didn't it mean, let us see how powerful the Xihai satellite is? Is the electromagnetic gun function demonstrated last time? The full function of the Sky Thunder satellite? Not yet." When they finished speaking, all the Sky Thunder satellites in the sky started to operate at the same time. They stretched out the steel needle in their bodies and saw the end of the steel needle gleaming with electromagnetic light. When everyone in the live broadcast room saw this familiar electromagnetic light, they couldn't help but start to guess, is the so-called Sky Thunder system just to let these tired satellites launch electromagnetic guns at the same time? At this moment, a magical thing happened. I saw these sky thunder satellites, centering on the end of the steel needle, emitting a large number of electric kettles, spreading around. These arcs met the arcs emitted by other sky thunder satellites, and immediately began to change. These sky thunder satellites are connected by these arcs and become a power grid. At this moment, a space junk hit the power grid, and was instantly cut and torn apart by the arc on the power grid. Seeing this scene, everyone couldn't help but breathe in air conditioning. Never expected that the power of these arcs was so huge. Dear viewers, what we are showing you now is the defense system of the Xihai satellite. What you see is the power grid composed of thunder satellites, and these power grids can intercept meteorites and space junk in space, so that they can be cut into a safe size before they enter the Earth. Everyone will ask if such a powerful power grid requires a huge amount of energy. I can tell you very responsibly, as long as this power grid is established, and the Sky Thunder satellite is still there, it will never be interrupted. In fact, this grid, Ziyue, is usually in a low current state, and the electricity collected by the solar power panels on both sides of the Xihai satellite is enough to maintain their low current state, and there is even a surplus, and these rich energies will be transformed into powerful electromagnetic cannons and launched at a critical moment, saving the Earth in dire straits. Hearing these words, the people of the East couldn't help but look at the grid in the live broadcast, knowing that this grid is just the tip of the iceberg of the Thunder system. Chapter 704. Today, there are only more than 20 Xihai satellites launched into space. Today, there are thousands of satellite launch bases on the ground, waiting for the launch of satellite rockets. Once these Sky Thunder satellites are launched, they can crisscross in the outer space near the Earth to form a grid that protects the Earth, and these power grids can continue to operate as long as the Sky Thunder satellites do not make any difference. The audience in the Time broadcast room was even more excited. This is the Great Eastern Country, a Great Eastern Country that creates miracles. After that, a large number of Xihai satellites have been launched into space, and the grid covering the Earth has become larger and larger in a blink of an eye. A year has passed, and the power grid of the Sky Thunder system has covered half of the Earth. The Xihai system is steadily under construction, but Ying Ziyue is not happy about it. Being aware of danger in times of peace is the nature of human beings. Ying Ziyue has been thinking about the power of the power grid intertwined by the Sky Thunder satellites. After all, everyone thinks that the system grid built by Xihai satellite is invincible, but Ying Ziyue understands that Xihai satellite also has extremely fragile weaknesses. That is, once a space meteorite hits more than 10 Sky Thunder satellites in the same area at the same time, then the Sky Thunder system network in this area will collapse. As a result, it sounds like a very small event, but it doesn't mean it can't happen. Thinking of this, Ying Ziyue couldn't help but look at the drawing on the table, where the space-based gun was designed. Space-based artillery. This was the first weapon he designed to defend against space threats, but now it has been shelved due to material issues. The power of space-based artillery is enormous. And for those satellites that are approaching the Earth, no one in the sky and the Earth is its opponent. However, its cost is too expensive and can only be used as a whole card. At this moment, Ying Ziyue received a message, and Jiang Huan, the director of the National Investigation Bureau, sent him another message. Leader Ying, the big discovery is that I finally have a way to solve the scarcity of fine gold mines. Seeing this news, Ying Ziyue was taken aback for a moment, and then she was ecstatic. Apart from anything else, driving his UFO aircraft to the National Investigation Bureau, when Ying Ziyue stepped off the aircraft, she couldn't wait to inquire about the location of Jiang Huan. From the people around her finally found him in a laboratory. Ying Ziyue immediately stepped forward. Where is the thing? Where is the thing? Didn't you say that you have a way to solve the problem of the shortage of fine gold mines? Ying Ziyue can't wait. If the shortage of fine gold mines is solved, he can build space-based guns in large numbers. In this way, the Earth is fully equipped with the two major armed systems of defense and attack, let alone what huge meteorite and unknown. It sounds like, even if a planet is about to hit the Earth, they can crush it. Jiang Huan had an unconcealable smile on his face. I knew this thing could attract you, a kid. Just now we discovered a special kind of cosmic ore. This kind of cosmic ore is almost the same as the alchemy stone in myths and legends. You only need to add a little bit to make ordinary steel stronger and stronger than the purple gold alloy. With just 1 gram, 1 ton of special alloys can be made. Chapter 705. 1 gram makes 1 ton. Director Jiang, I don't have deep research on your minerals. Don't lie to me. How can 1 gram make so many? Hearing Ying Ziyue's words, Jiang Huan chuckled and then said, don't believe it. Do you know how hard this space ore is? It took us 10 intercontinental missile gunpowder to explode a few rubble from that head-sized space meteor. But don't worry, we are all doing experiments at the Siberian experimental site. Otherwise the noise that makes a noise would have alarmed the people above. Afterwards, Jiang Huan took out a glass bottle from the safe on the side. Inside the glass bottle there was only a fingernail, the size of all pointy ore's whole body exudes a golden light, and when you look carefully, there are still some unidentified substances on it. We use diamond as a grinding wheel, and grinding 1 gram of ore powder requires 10 diamond grinding wheels. I think diamond is no longer worthy of being called diamond. It is a real diamond. After hearing these words, Ying Ziyue felt that the things Jiang Huan had said before creating a ton in 1 moment were not groundless. Such a hard space or might really be able to make a space alloy that is even harder than the purple gold alloy. I temporarily named this stone Jinkang alloy. So far, we have produced about 10 tons of Jinkang alloy. But it's far from enough. In this way, I can give you the permission to use the space-based gun. If the space-based cannon is used to bomb the space ore, it will definitely be able to bomb lots more. Hearing Ying Ziyue's words, Jiang Huan couldn't help being stunned. This guy actually dared to give him the authority to use the space-based cannon. After all, space-based guns, but a big killer can't be handed over to others casually. Actually, I'm not 100% sure with the current Sky Thunder system that I can safely deal with the next unknown celestial body group. I thought about building a space-based artillery project with global coverage, but due to material limitations, this plan has been shelved. Now with the latest Jinkang alloy, Fujing, this plan can really be realized. Hearing what Ying Ziyue said, Jiang Huan came to understand and immediately said, Leader Ying, you can rest assured that we will always be your strongest backing. We will focus on the manufacture of Jinkang alloy and try our best to provide you with the maximum chrysanthemum alloy. Zero fine flowers. Thanks for your hard work. I'm going back now to screen some suitable locations for building space-based guns. The location of the space-based artillery is very particular. Not all areas on the Earth are Siberian test sites. The construction of space-based artillery requires a large area of open space around it, and there are no people living in it, and there is no such thing as tall buildings and mountains. Because of the launch of space-based guns, not only powerful lasers, but also very violent recoil, and this strong recoil will cause a very huge earthquake. If there are tall buildings or high mountains and glaciers around, they will be shattered by this huge after-work force, leading to disaster soon. Ying Ziyue checked a lot of geographic information and finally decided on the location of the 108 space-based artillery point. These 108 positions are just enough to allow the space-based guns to cover the world. Death. Chapter 706. Next, Ying Ziyue came to the National Engineering Department. Fortunately, with the solidarity of the Eastern people, the work of the National Engineering Department was much easier. Leader Ying, why are you here again? In fact, the Minister of the Ministry of National Engineering now loves and hates Ying Ziyue point, because every time Ying Ziyue comes, it means that there is a new project and they are required to contract, and the plan he proposes every time is not an ordinary small project. 80 point. What makes them love is that they know that the engineering plan proposed by Ying Ziyue is for the continuation of the Great Eastern Country and human civilization. Ying Ziyue scratched her head, knowing that because she has put forward a large number of epic projects in the past few years, the National Engineering Department has been in a state of high intensity operation since a few years ago. Group Leader Ying, if this continues, we must consider hiring. It is also true that the engineers of the Ministry of National Engineering are now completely inadequate. If a new national project is to be constructed, then it is necessary to recruit people. Ying Ziyue thought for a while, and then said, in this case, before officially starting the project, let's expand and recruit the National Engineering Department first. When the Minister of the Ministry of National Engineering heard this sentence, he was slightly taken aback. Why should he really start hiring? Unexpectedly, Ying Ziyue actually took him to heart. When he mentioned casually point then, the Minister of the Ministry of National Engineering showed a smile on his face. Okay, Team Leader Ying, I'm going to publish the recruitment advertisement now. Wait a minute, you can use official channels to follow more people. After the people of the East opened the official website, they were surprised by the recruitment advertisement of the engineering department. The Ministry of National Engineering actually began to recruit people. For a time, a large number of resumes flooded toward the Ministry of National Engineering. Even the Minister of the National Engineering Department did not expect that his own National Engineering Department would be so popular with the people. Maybe they don't know that all the people in the East are proud to contribute to the country, and most of the projects they can come into contact with are national projects in recent years. The East has continued to build many miraculous projects, making everyone have a very oriented goal for the National Engineering Department. They all hope to enter the Ministry of National Engineering and have access to projects that build miracles. Unexpectedly, in just 1 week, the manpower of the National Engineering Department actually doubled. The first task for these newbies who have just entered the National Engineering Department is to expand their National Engineering Department. Facing such a large-scale engineering department in the East recruiting Western scholars, they began to infer again. So far, due to the participation of the Eastern people, the burden on the Ministry of Engineering has been reduced a lot. Logically speaking, their tasks have been reduced, and there should be no shortage of manpower. So I boldly speculate that the East is about to carry out a very large miracle project, which requires a lot of manpower. So I called the Ministry of National Engineering to recruit new people. The large number of manpower on weekends is for the next huge project. That's right, those Western scholars didn't infer that it was wrong this time. It didn't take long for Ying Ziyue to announce the space-based artillery plan. Build a space-based gun system with global coverage to achieve strike missions with no dead ends around the world. In this case, the Sky Thunder is a shield, the Sky Base is a spear, and the Earth is unbreakable. Chapter 707. Under the witness of the Western people, the East reopened their infrastructure madness plan. The Ministry of National Engineering has opened branches in other cities, and a large number of people flooded into the Ministry of National Engineering. The National Engineering Department is also honored to be the department with the largest number of people and the largest number of buildings among all national departments, but other departments don't envy him at all, because other departments know that it is the engineers of the entire Eastern power that hold the most difficult job. Subsequently, the 02 National Engineering Department expanded and started the construction plan of space-based artillery. But before building, they must build a city. That's right. In order to be able to manufacture Xihai alloy in large quantities, they have to make a furnace city and use the whole city as the furnace to manufacture Xihai alloy in large quantities. This sounds like a very ambitious plan. In fact, Dongfang has already been skilled in light vehicles. When the giant soldiers were made, they built one after another furnace city. Then they built one high-rise furnace after another around the construction site of each space-based gun. The manufacture of chrysanthemum alloy can be regarded as the simplest of all alloys. Just add the powder of the space meteorite into the molten iron, and the molten iron can become an indestructible gold alloy after solidification. When the furnace tower was established, it was put into production immediately, and a large amount of pig iron was ready to be used in the past, and when they came out again, it became gold like golden air alloy. These golden air alloys, which are like gold, are stacked in rows on the open space. On Ying Ziyue's side, the netizens who had participated in the space-based artillery were urgently summoned. They have only one proposition now: how can they reduce the energy consumption of the space-based artillery without reducing any performance of the space-based artillery? Everyone. The purpose of calling everyone here today is probably to know how to reduce the materials used in the construction of space-based guns. Everyone should know that the country is now building space-based guns. The last time the space-based artillery was built, it was true that it almost exhausted all the domestic stocks of fine gold mines. This time, although we have gotten a substitute for the gold air alloy, which is stronger than the Beijing gold mine, we can't waste it like before. I saw many people meditating for a moment. First of all, a young man with glasses expressed his opinion. If the number of small laser cannons is reduced, there should be a lot of heat resistant ore now. Add it to the small laser cannon. Under construction, the power of the small laser turret can be increased. Also, the small laser turret has only the barrel and energy output parts that require a large amount of heat resistant metal to protect other parts, and ordinary metal should be sufficient. The base under the space-based gun can be filled with graphene as the skeleton and ordinary steel, so that it can also play a role in preventing buffering. A large number of opinions were put forward, and Ying Ziyue collected these opinions and integrated them. Point after careful calculation, it turned out that after the improved space-based guns, the materials needed were only a quarter of the original. It seems that the first generation space-based guns manufactured before indeed need to be improved. Everything is ready, and finally the last batch of Xihai satellites are also ready to be launched. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 708. Dear viewers, hello everyone. Today is a big day, because today the Sky Thunder system developed by our great eastern country will usher in the launch of the last batch of Sky Thunder satellites. When these last batch of Sky Thunder satellites are launched, the entire Sky Thunder system's power grid will cover our entire planet. I never expected that in my lifetime I would be able to see such a sci-fi scene. Thanks to our great eastern country, they have created so many unimaginable miracles. The official launch of the last batch of Sky Thunder satellites was given to a live broadcast channel, and major TV stations began to vie for broadcast. This time the last batch of Sky Thunder satellites was launched. Live Point people in the east have also joined the live broadcast room to watch. You must know this Sky Thunder system, but they have a contribution point. Thinking of this, the people of the East have a more sense of belonging. Point at this time, Ying Ziyue is improving the details in her office. The drawings of the new space-based gun. Point at this moment, the secretary walked in. Leader Ying, the last batch of Sky Thunder satellites is about to be launched, and the ceremony to turn on the Sky Thunder system at the end. As if you have to come in person. Is it finally going to start? Ying Ziyue put down the blueprint in her hand, and then took the UFO to the Space Observatory. The Universe Observatory is in control of the Sky Thunder system, and Ying Ziyue is sitting in the center of the central control room watching the status of these Sky Thunder satellites on the screen. Leader Ying, the last batch of Skylay satellites will be launched soon. These Skylay satellites will cover the sky over the Antarctic. In this way, the entire Earth will be shrouded in the Skylay system's power grid, which is very safe. Ying Ziyue nodded and moved her gaze to the South Pole, and saw a huge power grid in space, covering the entire Earth. But the fly in the ointment was that there was a big gap in the South Pole. Point at this moment, there was a cheer in the live broadcast room, knowing that amidst the cheers of everyone, the last batch of Sky Thunder satellites rose into the sky and then entered the universe. Everyone's hearts were lifted at this moment. And only those tired satellites slowly opened their black wings, stretched out the steel needles in their bodies, and thunder and lightning appeared everywhere on the steel needles. The last electric current, like fireworks, spreads around, and then connects to other Sky Thunder satellites. At this point, the entire Earth has been shrouded in huge power grids, and only a faint electric light is seen from these power grids. From the point of view of the universe, these grids shroud the Earth like a blue glass ball emitting light. Everyone in the live broadcast room saw this scene and couldn't help being intoxicated. The Earth now is simply a perfect technological artwork. Ying Ziyue smiled slightly. The functions possessed by the Sky Thunder system are not just as simple as those shown in front of them. Turn on the full power operation mode of the Sky Thunder system. That's right, what is shown to the people now is just the lowest power operating mode of the Xihai money satellite point in his full power operation mode. Those Xihai satellites emit a large number of arcs, and these arcs are directly connected back and forth points, so when these arcs reach a frequency, the entire Earth is enveloped by a light blue shield point. The Earth at this time can really be regarded as a degree of protection without dead angles. Even the extremely small meteorites can hardly enter the Earth's atmosphere. Chapter 709. After finishing the final arrangement of the Sky Thunder system, when Midnight couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. Now he can finally relax. At least the current Earth in the universe is no longer the defenseless fragile glass ball. Ying Ziyue thought of the space-based artillery of her own design. Space-based artillery projects across the country have begun. With the successful launch of the Xihai satellite, the Xihai system has also been completely completed, which means that the National Engineering Department will have a large number of manpower in the future. The progress of the space-based artillery project will also be greatly improved. Ying Ziyue couldn't help showing a gratified smile when she looked at the blue planet. A whole week passed in this way. Just when Ying Ziyue took everything step by step. The Bureau of Space Observation sent him another message saying that a large amount of cosmic rubbish had been found near the Earth. Most of these cosmic junk are some space satellites before the Ice Age, which lost their function due to the influence of the Ice Age and eventually became space junk. Influenced by dense galaxies before they temporarily left the Earth's range, and now they are back again. If it was before, he might still fear them. 3 points, but now the Earth already has a Sky Thunder system. This space junk is nothing to the Sky Thunder system. Ying Ziyue immediately came to the space observatory. Seeing these space junk floating around the Earth, Ying Ziyue couldn't help but sigh that these are the products of old human civilization. Never thought that they would come here with the Earth, and the universe is really changing rapidly. Leader Ying, do you want to turn on the full power mode of the Sky Thunder system? No. Just use the lowest power grid mode. These space junks are not to be feared at all. After cutting them, the atmosphere will burn them out by friction. Ying Ziyue looked at the screen in front of her and saw these space junk surrounding the Earth, constantly rotating until they dreamed of the Sky Thunder system and were instantly cut in half. Then the space junk that was cut into pieces finally fell into the atmosphere. Feeling the rapid fall of the Earth's gravity, the atmosphere quickly rubbed against the air and then turned into a large number of flame meteors falling from the sky. At this time, the east was the night, and these space junk turned into dazzling meteors, piercing the eastern horizon. The people of the east couldn't help but wonder, where did this meteor come from? Many people from the east even posted on the official website immediately to see if there is any latest news. However, the official website did not release the latest news, which made the people feel relieved. Since the official did not release 10 news, it means that it is just a few irrelevant small meteorites. Ying Ziyue yawned. These space meteorites were simply vulnerable to the Sky Thunder system. It was also the first time that the staff of the Universe Observation Bureau saw the official work of the Sky Thunder system, which refreshed their understanding of the Sky Thunder system. These space junk is a piece of cake for the Sky Thunder system. I will go back and rest first. You can edit the next thing and post it on the official website. The staff of the Space Observatory watched Ying Ziyue's departure and then posted news about space junk on the official website. Chapter 710. A large amount of space junk was found around the Earth last night. These space junks came to the Earth for various reasons. Fortunately, our country has adopted the Sky Thunder system to intercept them. The meteor shower that was caused last night was exactly a phenomenon caused by space junk falling to the Earth. When this news appeared on the official website, everyone suddenly realized it after seeing it. It turned out that it was space junk last night. It fell down. 6. It turned out to be space junk. I thought it was a meteor shower. I even made a wish to it. Unexpectedly, the Sky Thunder system was just established, and it came in handy so quickly. The Earth is now solid, and those space meteorites or space junk can never get closer to the Earth. At this time Ying Ziyue looked at the comments on the internet and smiled. The reason why the Oriental Pearl Towers can chat so quickly on the internet is also a testament to their trust in the Great Eastern Country point. If they don't trust the country, I'm afraid they would have started to make negative comments on the internet long ago. Time began to elapse, and the construction of space-based artillery was gradually on the right track. The construction of the space-based gun was finally completed in the last month of the 3-year period. Since then, the 2 major defense institutions on the Earth have all been completed, and there is a Sky Thunder system outside the Earth, which acts as a shield for the Earth, to protect the Earth from harm. The space-based artillery project, as a powerful weapon for the Earth, to take the initiative to attack, exists on the surface of the Earth. At this moment, a news was suddenly released on the official website. There are 3 very huge meteorites that are attacking towards the Earth, and are expected to reach the location of the Sky Thunder system in an hour. As soon as the news came out, everyone involuntarily looked towards the sky, wanting to see what kind of meteors would fall after the meteorite was shredded by the Sky Thunder system. Now these space meteorites will be baptized by the Sky Thunder system before they touch the Earth. After the Sky Thunder system cuts them into fragments, they will turn into meteors and pass across the sky. Ying Ziyue went directly to the Bureau of Space Observation. When the staff of the Bureau of Space Observation saw Ying Ziyue's figure, they couldn't help but look at each other. Who called him? Ying Ziyue seemed to see their doubts, and then said, "The space-based gun system has just been established. I want to use these 3 meteorites as a test, so this time I don't need to use the Sky Thunder system to intercept these 3 meteorites. 0 fine flowers. Okay, everything depends on the arrangement of the team leader Ying." Afterwards, Ying Ziyue turned on his mobile phone and began to announce, "All departments pay attention to turning on all space-based guns, keep them in a state of preparation, and launch attacks on meteorites that are about to enter range in the sky at any time." The 3 meteorites didn't know what they were going to face, and they entered the Earth's outer space field on their own emission. With an order, a large number of lasers were launched like random arrows, ejected from the surface of the Earth, directly hitting the 3 meteorites. Where did those 3 meteorites have seen such a big soldier? Before he could react, he was bombarded into fragments by these lasers, and even the scum was not left behind. Seeing such a terrifying power, even the staff of the Universe Observatory couldn't help but breathe in air. Ying Ziyue nodded with satisfaction, and then said, "This defense system is called the Sky Spear system. It will be handed over to you in the future." Death. Chapter 711. Ying Ziyue gave the authority to control the control system of the space-based guns to the Space Observation Bureau. Since these space-based guns have been constructed, leaving them in their own hands will not be of much use. After all, I can't stare at the Earth's outer space 24 hours a day for observation. It's better to keep things like this in the Universe Observatory. With the assistance of the Sky Thunder system. In this way, the safety of the Earth has finally been solved. The launch of the space-based artillery also aroused the August 3, the curiosity of the people. After all, several lasers soar into the sky at the same time. This kind of spectacular scenery is hard to be ignored. Subsequently, the official immediately released an explanation about the laser. The large number of lasers that appeared in the sky yesterday was actually the result of testing of space-based guns developed by our country. After such a reminder, many people also found out, space-based artillery? Isn't the space-based artillery built by our Great Eastern Country the one in Siberia? I suddenly remembered that near my city, I saw a building that looked like a sky-based cannon. After you reminded me like this, I suddenly remembered that there seem to be similar buildings near my city. Remember the previous expansion of the National Engineering Department? Where did so much manpower go? So, our country is still building space-based artillery. Looking at yesterday's situation, it is estimated that there are not a few space-based guns built. Looking at the discussion on the internet, the people of the Western countries couldn't help but breathe a breath of air, and the Great Eastern countries actually built more than one space-based cannon. At this moment, people from the Astronomical Bureau found Ying Ziyue again, and told him that the first wave of cosmic disasters was coming. Upon seeing this news, Ying Ziyue rushed to the Astronomical Bureau immediately. What happened? It stands to reason that there is still a month left for the non-tomorrow bodies to reach the Earth. The staff of the Astronomical Bureau handed a piece of information to Ying Ziyue. Recently, we discovered that the light on the Earth is gradually decreasing. Although the change is very small, it does indicate that the sunlight is being covered by an unknown substance. In order to figure out what this unknown substance is, we cooperated with the Universe Observatory and finally reached a conclusion. That is, this unidentified matter is the cosmic dust emitted by those non-star bodies, and they are the first to come to the solar system. Now the concentration of these cosmic dust is getting more and more dense as the non-stars approach. We speculate that they will reach a peak in a month's time, that is, when the non-stars approach, and the concentration of these cosmic dusts is enough to cover 9%. 10 sunlight, then the Earth will fall into eternal night. After hearing these words, Ying Ziyue frowned, and eternal night means that the Earth can no longer enjoy the sun's rays, living things will be affected, plants will wither, the temperature of the Earth will continue to drop, and humans will no longer be able to use solar energy. All of this made Ying Ziyue frowned. Order first. All cities are now madly storing solar energy as resource reserves, and the news about Xihai is also released. Like the last time a huge comet struck, the arrival of cosmic bodies is not just as simple as hitting the Earth. Regarding this cosmic dust, the official released the news for the first time. After the people learned about the cosmic dust, there was no panic. To them, this disaster was nothing. Whether it is a huge comet or a sky moon phenomenon, they have survived, and they really haven't paid attention to this disaster. Ying Ziyue shut herself into the office again, seeking a way to survive the eternal night. Chapter 712. I don't know how long it took. Ying Ziyue shut herself in the office, thinking about how to spend the eternal night. Eternal night is a phenomenon. It is not a manifestation of disaster. If it has an entity like a giant comet, it would be easy to solve. Just smash it. Xihai is a disaster of nature in the previous Xianyu phenomenon. It will cause a series of chain reactions on the Earth. Ying Ziyue began to imagine how the Earth would change under the state of eternal night. While he was thinking and meditating, time hurried by, and in a blink of an eye, the first wave of celestial bodies had reached the vicinity of the Earth. Leader Ying, the first wave of celestial bodies has reached the periphery of the Earth. The secretary pushed open the door of the room, and saw that Ying Ziyue was already ready, and said lightly, I'm counting on the time. It's almost time, people. Please be aware that due to the influence of huge celestial bodies, the Earth may have a series of special reactions in recent days, such as weightlessness, eternal night, etc. These are normal phenomena. Please don't worry. At this time, some engineering teams also stopped research and development tasks. The reason is that the gravity of the Earth has changed after these unnatural bodies approach the Earth. Under such abnormal gravity conditions, there is no way to carry out normal construction at all. At this time Ying Ziyue came to the Space Observation Bureau, and the staff of the Space Observation Bureau immediately stood up and respectfully said to him, Leader Ying. Ying Ziyue waved her hand and asked, how is the situation with those celestial bodies now? Now these celestial bodies have reached the vicinity of Jupiter, and the nearest celestial body has reached the range of the moon. You can turn on the Thunder satellite to bomb it at any time. Ying Ziyue glanced at the abnormal bodies on the screen, realizing that their shapes are different. Even the colors are quite different. Don't activate the power grid mode of the Sky Thunder system, and directly turn on the electromagnetic gun mode of some Sky Thunder satellites to bomb these non-star objects, the first batch to reach the Earth. These unknown bodies are generally small in size, and are small celestial bodies that can be crushed by electromagnetic guns. After being crushed, the volume was enough to reach a safe size. The staff of the Space Observation Bureau nodded, and then turned on the Xianlu satellite. I saw the Sky Thunder satellites surrounding the Earth began to change their lineup, and then stripped a part of the Sky Thunder satellites. Even if a part of the Sky Thunder satellite has been stripped off, the power grid is still operating normally because of the self-regulating function of the Sky Thunder satellite. I saw the stripped Sky Thunder satellite targets, aiming at the non-neomorphs near the Earth, and then a small electric ball appeared at the end of the steel needle. Whoosh, whoosh. I saw that the electromagnetic balls attacked the non-star body like stars. These seemingly inconspicuous electromagnetic balls exploded with huge energy at the moment they touched the non-star body, and saw a huge electric current directly penetrate the entire non-star body point. Then the non-star body exploded like a bomb, and a large amount of debris spread out into the surrounding space, and some of it fell into the Earth's atmosphere. However, the volume of those fragments may have turned into a cloud of dust in the atmosphere before they even touched the ground. Chapter 713. At this time, the Earth has completely fallen into the state of eternal night. 24 hours a day, the whole day is the state of night, and the existence of the sun is almost invisible. At this moment, people saw the falling meteors in the sky. Look at the meteors in the sky. What meteor? Maybe some space junk was shot down. Since the Sky Thunder system has deployed the power grid, these meteors have long been commonplace. I hope that the Eastern powers can eliminate these non-star bodies as soon as possible, so that we can be rescued from the state of eternal night. At this time, Ying Ziyue was sitting in the Universe Observatory, watching the big screen in the center, and watching the state of the non-stars. All the time. After they smashed the first wave of stars, it didn't take long for the second wave of non-star bodies to follow. This wave of non-star bodies was even larger than the previous ones, and they looked more solid. The report shows that the second wave of non-stars is approaching the Earth. There are a total of 368 huge meteorites with a diameter of more than 10,000 meters. Do you want to activate the electromagnetic gun to bomb them again? Ying Ziyue raised her hand, and then said, no need, turn on the grid mode of the Sky Thunder system, and adjust the power to 50%. Receive. Upon hearing Ying Ziyue's order, the staff of the Universe Observation Bureau started to execute it without saying a word, because they believed in Ying Ziyue. Ying Ziyue is a hero who has led people through the Ice Age successfully. He has experienced more disasters than they have seen. Gradually in the universe, the Sky Thunder satellites that were just stripped out have returned to their original positions, and a large number of Sky Thunder satellites spread their black wings, desperately absorbing the thin sunlight in the universe. At this moment, the second celestial body finally reached the vicinity of the Earth's atmosphere, and those Sky Thunder satellites immediately opened a blue Skynet, strengthen the output power of Xihai satellite and turn it onto 50% mode. Received. The output power of Xihai satellite is being strengthened. Gradually, the originally slender power grids in space instantly became extremely thick, shining with thunder light, and indestructible as if a sky thunder came to the world. Those who didn't even react and ran into the thick grid instantly torn apart. At this moment, a large number of fragments of unexplained bodies fell into the Earth and into the atmosphere. In the sky, shooting stars flying all over the sky like fireworks, illuminating the dark night of the Earth. It is a meteor again. My sky. There are so many meteors, so dazzling. I can probably imagine how enthusiastic the anti-disaster action in outer space is. It's a pity that the official does not broadcast live. Is there any TV station with satellites that can broadcast live images of space? Come on. Now the Earth is falling into the state of eternal night. Good money, because of these non-tomorrows. As long as we don't panic, get through this disaster steadily and unitedly, it will help us in the Great Eastern Country. NS. In the Space Observatory at this time, Ying Ziyue looked at the staff and asked, among all the Sky Thunder satellites, what is the highest energy reserve? What is the lowest energy reserve? Report. Among all Xihai satellites, the highest energy reserve so far is 80%, and the lowest is 50%. Chapter 714. Calculate immediately how long it will take for the third wave of celestial bodies to arrive. If this period of time is to collect solar energy in the universe, how much energy reserve can it have? Under calculation, if we start collecting solar energy in the universe now, when the third wave of celestial bodies arrives, the highest energy reserve will be 100%, and the lowest energy reserve will be 80%. Ying Ziyue didn't hear it wrong. The Sky Thunder satellite has an extremely efficient way of collecting solar energy, because its black wings are made from the prototype of the energy harvesting panel on the energy concentrating tower. We must know that the most indispensable thing in the universe is solar energy. Therefore, the revenue of Sky Thunder satellites has extremely efficient energy replenishment efficiency. Now that Xianli satellite had such an efficient energy conversion mode, Ying Ziyue was relieved. Because the third wave of celestial bodies that will be coming next and the celestial bodies of the first two waves are not a concept at all. Among the third wave of celestial bodies, there are as many as hundreds of celestial bodies that are exactly the same size as the giant noble star that struck the earth last time. They just hit the earth with one random one. They can destroy the earth and make human civilization to extinction point. But Ying Ziyue will not let this happen. The last wave of celestial bodies will arrive one day later, and there are still 24 hours. Let them prepare enough. Soon, the day passed in a hurry, and the third and final wave of celestial bodies finally arrived. I saw that they were huge, and the earth in front of them was as fragile as a child. The people on the earth looked towards the sky and could vaguely see the figures of these giant celestial bodies. They couldn't help but start to worry. Can such a huge enemy really defeat them? In the universe observatory, everyone is holding their breath because they know that they are now holding the hope of human civilization in their hands. Ying Ziyue was calm and immediately began to issue a series of orders. The power of the Sky Thunder satellite system is always maintained at 50%, so as not to run out of power on the way, causing the collapse of the grid system. Receive. Turn on the Sky Spear system. Use big data and aerial satellites to combine to calculate the motion trajectories of these non-human bodies, and use the Sky Spear system to prejudge them. Receive. I saw in the outer space of the Earth, a large number of Sky Thunder satellites emitted strong electric arcs, and their power grids became extremely thick, shining densely with lightning point. But those celestial bodies are really too big, as they crashed directly into the grid, crackling, and a lot of electric arcs burst out. Ying Ziyue frowned slightly. Sure enough, the electric grid of the Jinping Sky Thunder system couldn't stop these huge celestial bodies at all. He gave an order. The Sky Spear system aimed at those huge celestial bodies and launched it for me. In an instant, huge beams of light were emitted from all over the earth, and the direct beam shot up into the sky, directly hitting those huge celestial bodies in the universe, rumbled, gradually darkened, and a large number of red clouds appeared in the sky. These red clouds are just the phenomenon of laser cannon bombardment on huge celestial bodies, and the celestial bodies can be seen torn apart. Then these celestial fragments hit the surrounding Sky Thunder system's power grid, and the sky thundered in an instant. In the night sky, these phenomena are particularly dazzling. Thunder is everywhere, sparks are flying everywhere. This is the Earth's Sky Spear and Thunder Shield. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 715. On this day, all the people on the earth have seen the huge celestial body in the sky. Then came the lasers from the spring. These laser cannons fell on the sky, and the celestial bodies emitted red cracks. Everyone feels that the sky is about to split. At this moment, with the sound of an explosion, the entire sky lit up, and a lot of thunder flashed in the thunder. Then, above the dark sky, a lot of fire rain fell from the sky, illuminating the night sky. They saw those huge stars turning into countless meteors, falling from the sky. In less than 3 days, they saw 3 meteor showers. It's just that this last meteor shower was so powerful that they had to pay attention. In the universe observatory at this time, everyone couldn't help but relax, and no one was more stressed than them. Now those huge groups of celestial bodies have finally been wiped out, and they can finally breathe a sigh of relief. Phew. Ying Ziyue breathed a sigh of relief. At this time, he finally felt a little lighter on his burden. Looking at the falling meteor shower outside the window, when midnight couldn't help but sigh. This time the huge group of stars that resisted the arrival of the universe has been destroyed 3 times, and caused 3 meteor showers. Presumably the mouths of the guys from the National Investigation Bureau all laughed openly. Bah. In fact, Ying Ziyue did not make a mistake. At this time, the entire National Bureau of Investigation was exuding a frenetic atmosphere. These meteor showers that fall from the sky are exactly the cosmic ores that their National Survey Bureau dreams of. There are 3 waves of meteor showers in total, and they have to fall to the earth. How many cosmic ores? The National Bureau of Investigation and Surveying immediately issued a reward order on the official website. When the first wave of meteor showers fell point for a while, the whole world began to fall into the gold rush of cosmic ore again, and a large amount of cosmic ore was sent to the National Bureau of Investigation. The only difference this time is that Ying Ziyue issued an order to divide these cosmic minerals into half for research by other departments after they have been tested by the National Bureau of Investigation. The mysteries of the universe are endless, and now they are just glancing at the hairs of the tip of the iceberg. This time against those huge stars, a large amount of cosmic ore was obtained. This is also a major opportunity for the Great Eastern countries to make a big stride in cosmic science and technology. A large amount of cosmic ore was sent to research centers across the country, and those research centers were even more ecstatic. 0 Find flaws. It is necessary to know that these cosmic minerals were regarded as treasures by the National Bureau of Investigation and Survey before they wanted to apply for research qualifications, but it was very difficult. On the other side, Ying Ziyue was not idle either. He continued to stay in the Universe Observatory because the huge interstellar incident had not yet completely ended. The remaining celestial bodies, although the individuals are very small, are not worth mentioning compared with those huge celestial bodies, no matter how small these celestial bodies are, since they may cause huge damage to the Earth. The Sky Thunder system is uninterrupted 24 hours a day to prevent these remaining celestial bodies from entering the Earth's atmosphere. And because of the explosion of these huge celestial bodies, the concentration of cosmic dust has directly more than doubled. These cosmic dusts exist in the solar system, enveloping the sun and other planets. Ying Ziyue frowned slightly, and she didn't know when the cosmic dust would disappear and how long this state of eternal night would last. If the state of eternal night continues, he must plan a response plan. Death. Chapter 716. This situation has been going on for about a week, but the cosmic dust concentration in the solar system still has not dropped. This made Ying Ziyue's brows furrowed. If the Earth keeps in the state of eternal night like this, not only will plants wither, but even some solar power plants will close down. The most urgent thing is to find a specific method to remove these cosmic dust. Ying Ziyue 887 immediately came to the Astronomical Bureau and met the director of the Astronomical Bureau. Leader Ying, I knew you would come. Ying Ziyue was a little speechless. Don't be so naive, you know the situation on the map now. As long as those cosmic dust exist for one day, the Earth will always fall into the state of eternal night. The director of the Astronomical Bureau shook his head and then said, our Astronomical Bureau has been observing the changes in the concentration of cosmic dust in the past few days. Facts have proved that the concentration of cosmic dust is indeed declining, but the decline is a bit slow. Now that the Earth is in an active state, half a month has passed. If these problems are not solved, the Earth may have problems. Ying Ziyue frowned slightly, and then looked at the director of the Astronomical Bureau. I ask you, if the concentration of these cosmic dust continues to decrease, how long will it take to reach the level of sunlight? Soon, a year. Within this year, we must find a way to spend this eternal night state by ourselves. Ying Ziyue touched her chin. It is not impossible to spend the eternal night state within this year, but it requires careful planning. Because of the disappearance of sunlight, all solar power plants on the Earth cannot be used normally, so their source can only exist in those power plants that use other power to generate electricity. For example, the Vulcan Energy Power Plant, or the Sea God Needle in the undercurrent town of the sea. All use the energy of nature to produce human production. Since we can't shine directly on the sun, then we will create an artificial sun. Yes, to create an artificial sun, the sunlight emitted by the artificial sun is almost the same as the sunlight emitted by the stars. And with regard to the construction of artificial suns, they have long been familiar with the road. Ying Ziyue immediately came to the Artificial Sun R&D department of the National Research and Development Bureau. Before coming to this department, the researcher puts a pair of glasses on Ying Ziyue. Researchers working here need to wear sunglasses. If something accident happens in the process of creating an artificial sun, the light emitted by the artificial sun alone will be enough to blind them. When I came to the artificial sun research and development department, I saw that the researchers there were beating an artificial sun. Ying Ziyue took a look. The core of the artificial sun between the artificial suns was very old, and it didn't look like the artificial sun they made. Leader Ying, you are here. Ying Ziyue walked over and took a look and found that the structure of the artificial sun was completely different from the artificial sun he had involved in the Ice Age. Where did you get this artificial sun? It doesn't seem to be our technology. The researchers smiled and said, remember that we discovered the underground world before. This artificial sun was obtained from there. The internal core technology of this artificial sun is very superb, and we are imitating it. Chapter 717. The core design of this artificial sun is really so ingenious. I have never seen such an ingenious design. Obviously, it only uses some simple materials and some extremely simple techniques, but it has a more efficient operation method than ours. Ying Ziyue watched the staff fall into frantic research again, and didn't bother them again. Point later, Ying Ziyue came to the R&D department, and saw that at this time the R&D department was following a small ecosystem, recording whether the artificial sun they made could maintain the stability of the ecosystem. Ying Ziyue walked in, and the 02 employees immediately greeted him. I'm here this time to ask you to solve the problem about the state of eternal night. Perhaps you know more or less, because of the influence of these huge celestial bodies, our solar system is covered with a large amount of cosmic dust. These cosmic dust obscures the sun's sunlight, so that our Earth can only fall into the state of eternal night. Just now, I went to the Astronomical Bureau, and the people from the Astronomical Bureau told me that this eternal night state will need to last at least another year. But if the Earth cannot be irradiated by sunlight for a year, it will definitely cause a lot of trouble. So this time I came to ask if your artificial solar research department can produce artificial solar energy that can maintain the Earth's ecology. Son. After hearing these words, the staff looked at each other. Ying Ziyue saw the corners of their mouths rising wildly. I saw one of the staff directly grabbed his shoulder and said excitedly, Group Leader Ying, if you asked us this question a year ago, the answer we gave you is impossible, because the artificial sun built by human technology at present, the urban artificial sun is actually just a huge luminous ball of light, which can be used to resist the severe cold, but the light it emits cannot replace the sun's light at all. But after we discovered this artificial sun from the underground world, everything has changed. The level of technology created by this artificial sun is completely beyond the level that humans can currently reach. Our entire department has carried out crazy research for a whole year and finally mastered half of the technology of this artificial sun, but only this half of the technology can make the research and development technology of the artificial sun in the big eastern country make a big step forward. The staff member holding the sword stepped aside, making Ying Ziyue see the real scene in the eco box. I saw plants, animals, and insects in the ecological box. They lived in harmony and were full of vitality, and everything was because of the small sun hanging above them. After our tests, today's artificial sun can completely replace the function of sunlight. The spectrum it emits is not exactly the same as the spectrum emitted by sunlight, but the similarity has reached 80%. Ying Ziyue's eyes widened. Artificial sun. This kind of technology is no longer a simple first-class civilization. So simple. The technological level of the artificial sun has reached the level of second-level civilization without even knowing it. Really create the world and change the world. Ying Ziyue immediately walked out of her fantasy. Next, the country will fully cooperate with your research. Please immediately create a large number of artificial suns and distribute them to other cities. Please rest assured, Team Leader Ying, we will complete the task successfully. Chapter 718. Suddenly, the entire artificial solar research and development department began to speed up, and a large number of researchers were sent to various parts of the country to start the artificial solar construction plan. In Xihai City at this time, a resident could not help shaking his head and sighing when he looked at the withered plants he had created. I saw him looking at the alarm clock on the table, which now said it was 12. noon, but looking up to the sky, it was still gloomy, and there was no difference between the sun and the night. Because there has been no sunshine these days, the whole person looks a little gloomy. Hey, when are these ghost days? The resident was a little bored now, and then turned on the computer, boarded the official website, and posted a message directly on the official website point according to the latest findings of the Astronomical Bureau. This eternal night state will last until a year before it will improve. Why will it take a year for us to reapply to the sun? Isn't my body going to get moldy from that time? Don't worry, everyone. The Eastern powers will not let it go. Maybe they will have a solution right away. I hope so. It would be terrifying if I didn't see the words of the sun for a year. Don't we have artificial suns? Can't those artificial suns be used? There is a certain difference between the artificial sun and the real sun. These artificial suns are not so much the sun, they are more of an induction cooker for heating. At this moment, the official news popped up again. In order to help the people to spend the eternal night safely, our National Research and Development Department has specially sent an artificial solar research and development team to all parts of the world to build the latest artificial sun. The latest artificial sun? What is the difference between the latest artificial sun and the previous employee sun? My cousin's uncle's friend works in the National Research Department. He also heard some gossips. This latest artificial sun is almost the same as the real sun. It can also provide heat, and its sunlight is also allow plants to photosynthesize. It's so amazing. Our country's technology has developed. Can we create a real sun? You don't want to think about it, but it's a great Eastern country. Regarding family affection, the installation and construction of the artificial sun is very simple. They only need to carry out a series of transformations in the most basic artificial sun center. The fundamental artificial sun has undergone earth-shaking changes. If the original artificial sun only had the function of heating and lighting, the artificial sun is now like a complete sun point. The sun that it emits shines on humans, and it feels warm, although the plants radiate life again after being irradiated by the rays of sunlight. Point of course, this is just a stopgap measure. At first, the artificial sun can only withstand 1 or 2 months, and during these 2 months they must start to build a real artificial sun to fight against the hazards of eternal night. Ying Ziyue, what is needed for a successful sun is very simple. A skeleton that can withstand tens of thousands of degrees Celsius and a core that can emit huge energy. These two things are the first framework that can withstand high temperatures of tens of thousands of degrees Celsius. They can be made of gold air alloy, which is enough to support the framework of an artificial sun point. Then there is the core of huge energy. Today's geothermal core is much higher than the previous electric core. Chapter 719. Because of the influence of cosmic dust, the entire world has plunged into darkness. Even in the West Point, the people in the West were still in panic at first, but then they saw that the people in the East were so calm, and they gradually stabilized. Point, the people of the East are so calm. What else are they afraid of? As long as there is a great Eastern country, they will never perish. Point, at this moment, the people of the West saw a ray of light rising from the East Point with wide-eyed Ying Ziyue. This eternal night is going to pass, right? The dawn of dawn has arrived. Some people in the West even knelt down to worship like the West, as if praising the sun, but their need to kneel down and worship only discovered that this ray of light came from the East, not the light from the sun at all. If it was the light emitted by the sun should be hanging high above the sky at this time, but now all they could see was a ray of light on the eastern horizon. Why, my god, why is light only in the east? Have we been abandoned by God in the West? I just went to the official website of Dongfang to check, and found that Dongfang has now manufactured an artificial sun. This artificial sun is no different from the ordinary sun hanging in the sky. What is totally impossible? How can they make the sun? Must be fake. Some people in the West still believe in God. At this time, their worldview seems to have collapsed. The sun created by the people in the East created the world just like God. At this moment, the artificial sun manufacturing team from the East came to the West. We are an artificial sun manufacturing team from the East. We are here to install artificial suns for your city. The West is an important industrial area and agricultural area in the big eastern countries, especially the agricultural area, which needs artificial sun cultivation. I saw those artificial solar manufacturing teams from the east, building metal frameworks one after another around their agricultural greenhouses. Western people looked at these gold-like skeletons, their eyes straightened. What are these? Is it gold? It is too extravagant for the great eastern countries to use gold as an artificial sun skeleton. This is a kind of space metal alloy called golden air alloy, which can withstand the high temperature of tens of thousands of degrees Celsius emitted by the artificial sun. After some explanations, the people in the West gradually realized that the great eastern countries had actually begun to involve cosmic metals after the artificial sun was established. Work began immediately, emitting a lot of light. After the plants in the agricultural greenhouses feel the sunlight, they are rejuvenated. My god, the East really has mastered the technology that can make the sun. Is there any difference between the East and God now? There is no difference at all. Just give them a little more time, maybe they can create a new world. The appearance of the artificial sun has completely shocked the people of the West. At this point, all the artificial suns in the East and West have been set up. The space at this time has become grey due to the cosmic dust, but if you look in the direction of the Earth from the cosmic dust you will find that the Earth at this time emits a dazzling light like a lighthouse in the universe. Because of the rise of the artificial sun, the Earth at this time has completely formed a set of its own ecological circle. Chapter 720. As the artificial sun started one after another, after their work, the whole Earth fell into calm again. Ying Ziyue was finally able to breathe a sigh of relief at this time, and now as long as the cosmic dust disappeared completely, they would have survived the disaster completely. However, before he relaxed, the National Health Organization quickly approached him. Ying Ziyue hasn't reacted yet, and the National Health Organization quickly brought him to the fire department, and then began a series of inspections for him. Seeing these doctors with solemn expressions, Ying Ziyue was a little puzzled. What's wrong? I have nothing wrong with me. Why should I have a whole body test? The doctor slowly breathed a sigh of relief after seeing the results of the examination, and then said solemnly to Ying Ziyue, Leader Ying, maybe you didn't know that a batch of space ore went out of the pool. What happened? Sure enough, what Ying Ziyue was most worried about happened, because these space ore came from space, and they didn't know exactly what they didn't know. At that time, he was a little worried. If these space minerals were studied on a large scale, they would be contaminated with something unclean. Later, the doctor said, in fact, the first case we found was still in the National Bureau of Investigation. A researcher directly contacted a certain ore without following safety measures. After a week, the researcher's whole body became weak. Through our investigation, we found that 80% of the cells in this researcher's whole body have become a kind of mutant cells that have not been seen at all. This kind of mutated cells may just be a general weakness for the human body, but we found that once mice and other biological plants come into contact with this kind of mutated cells, they will die immediately. After our investigation, we found that the sources of these mutations are all radiation from a space ore. The radiation of this space mineral will cause the cells of the human body to mutate, and if it comes into contact with animals and plants, it will directly lead to the death of animals and plants. So far, we have controlled all those who have been in contact with space minerals. There are still some space minerals that have not been discovered. Once these radiations begin to spread, the ecological gene pool of the entire planet will be greatly reduced. Zero fine flowers. Ying Ziyue frowned slightly. Although the radiation produced by this kind of space ore does not harm the human body, the harm it causes should not be underestimated. You must know that once a large number of animals and plants die, the impact will be the break of the ecological chain. Zero. If the ecological chain breaks, although the Earth will not go to extinction for a while, it will still fall into a period of chaos, and it will take a long time for it to return to normal. In this chaos, human beings will be affected more or less. Thinking of this, Ying Ziyue immediately said, first send the National Security Agency to track down the whereabouts of the space meteorites scattered around the world. And then you officially announce the news to see if anyone has come into contact with this ore. Finally, let those people from the National Research Bureau wear protective clothing, take safety measures, and then investigate exactly what the radiation contained in this space meteorite is. Can you find something to counter it? Died. Chapter 721. The orders were issued one by one, and the whole country fell into a state of vigilance. The National Security Agency traced every city, based on the transportation trajectory of or in space. Any citizen who has been in contact with her, or must be quarantined by the National Security Agency. Fortunately, these citizens did not act fiercely, because they also knew that the radiation from space minerals did not harm the human body. Unless it is a person who has been in close contact with space, or during the 1989-90 period. The whole body will become limp. But anyone who has been in contact with space minerals will be more or less contaminated with radiation that is exclusive to that space minerals, and these radiations are fatal to other animals and plants. The National Security Agency began to trace the whereabouts of these minerals. It is important to know that there were 3 waves of meteor showers from the sky, and it is unknown how many of these space minerals were contained in that point, and the official also announced the hazards of this kind of space ore, so that everyone does not have to worry too much. But don't take it lightly. I just said that there must be something wrong with the space ore that fell from the sky. Fortunately, I have never touched any space ore. Have you not seen the official announcement above? The radiation of this kind of space minerals will only have a huge impact on animals and plants. For the human body, even if you stay with it, it will only cause the whole body to become weak. It will be able to recover after a month. Even so, we should not underestimate it. We must know that, if a large number of animals and plants die, it will cause huge damage to the Earth's ecological circle. We human civilization may also be affected by it. Don't worry, everyone. Cooperate with the National Security Agency's inspections. As long as we work with them wholeheartedly, it will be the greatest support to the country. He is right. Since then, the National Security Administration and the National Geological Administration have worked together to recover a large amount of space ore one after another. The National Health Service also immediately quarantined those who had been in contact with space minerals, so that they would not come into contact with any animals or plants. But even so, there are still animals that died in the wild because of radiation, and these radiated carcasses were swallowed by other animals. Suddenly, a large number of animals and plants began to die continuously. The original vibrant ice sheet was now full of dead bodies. Ying Ziyue frowned, and then issued an order. Go ahead and let the citizens not go out casually. Those dead animal and plant carcasses have become new sources of radiation. Although they do not cause much harm to the human body, there will be some quantitative impact. Leader Ying. Now a large number of animals and plants have been found to die from space radiation all over the world. What should we do? Don't worry, let us worry about it. The spread of these space radiation is also inevitable. Ying Ziyue rubbed her eyebrows, and at this moment, the National Research Bureau finally heard a message. Report Leader Ying. Our National Research Bureau has just conducted research based on these space minerals, and found that these space radiations will completely disappear within 1 month after being frozen. That is to say, as long as we protect other creatures on the Earth in advance, after a month, these space radiations will naturally disappear. On the Earth, after being frozen on the ice sheet for a long time. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 722. This is the best news Ying Ziyue has heard so far. In today's Ice Age, ice is the most indispensable point, and the weak point of these space radiations happened to be ice. Ying Ziyue touched her chin, and then said to the secretary, you will immediately issue a message to the National Health Administration, which is to go to zoos across the country to check whether those animals carry space radiation. Yes, Leader Ying. Soon the secretary went down and released the news, and Ying Ziyue immediately started his project planning. As far as he knows, zoos all over the country are no longer open due to the influence of Yangai. That is to say, if the zoo employees are not infected with space radiation, these animals will be no problem at all. Ying Ziyue next plans to build a biological gene bank to store genetic samples of animals and plants on the Earth point, so that no matter what kind of disasters occur on the Earth, Oriental Chinese medicine can extract animal and plant genes from this animal and plant genetic sample point, then cloned, based on these genes, those missing animals and plants to maintain ecological balance. Soon the secretary had counted the news of zoos across the country. Report to the leader of Ying. I have just notified the National Health Bureau to conduct space radiation inspections on zoos across the country. The good news is that when the space radiation just started, the National Health Administration has already gone to zoos across the country to investigate whether the animals were infected with space radiation. The result of the investigation is that zoos across the country have not found a single case of infected, space-radiated animals. Upon hearing this news, Ying Ziyue smiled slightly. Nothing is the best. Now you immediately inform. As long as the country has established a zoo, all animals will be handed in. If it is a zoo built by a private enterprise, you can discuss it with them. We want to build a global gene bank and reserve all the animal genes in the world so that they will not be extinct due to disasters, and thus the Earth's ecology will be damaged. Hearing these words of Ying Ziyue, the secretary also reacted. Yes, if you can't find a solution to space radiation in a short time, why not contain all the remaining living creatures? We must know that the cloning technology mastered by the Great Eastern nations has reach the point where it is so perfect. As long as there is one creature, they can clone a variety of species. Subsequently, the secretary began to issue orders to hand in animals to zoos across the country. Originally, the secretary thought that there would be some obstacles in the process of implementation. After all, the zoos established by the state handed over animals. If it is a state order, there is really nothing wrong with it. But the zoos of some private companies are a bit annoying. After all, they rely on the zoo for food. How can they give them their jobs? But in fact, he still underestimated the unity of the people of the Great Eastern countries. After those private enterprises learned that this was a policy promulgated by the state. Apart from anything else, he directly handed over the zoo to the zoo, and he was not even unwilling to accept the compensation from the state. It is our responsibility to contribute to the country anyway. Because the business of Yangzhou Zoo is not so good, I was planning to sell this zoo a long time ago. Since I have the ability to do risks for the country, I will naturally do a good job for the country. It is my honor to be able to do risks for the country. Chapter 723. Soon, all the animals in zoos across the country gathered. Now, these zoo animals are temporarily housed in their zoo. Their next task is to build a national animal ecology museum. This task is simple, but in fact it is very troublesome. Because it is necessary to consider that the place where each creature lives is different. They also need to construct corresponding simulated terrain. First of all, the area of the National Zoological Museum must be large. Today, the land owned by the Siberian test site is far from enough. In the end, Ying Ziyue decided that he would build these national animal museums on the sea. That's right. The Great Eastern countries are now very skilled in the engineering and construction of man-made continents, and they can build a man-made continent on the sea at any time. There will be no accidents at sea. The construction of the National Zoological Museum is decided to be on an artificial continent in the depths of the Pacific Ocean. The location of the National Zoological Museum has been decided, and then there is a question of construction materials, because a large amount of solid metal is needed for fixing at sea. If there is a huge tsunami, it is likely to cause a certain earthquake impact on the artificial land. Therefore, the skeleton of the National Zoological Museum must use graphene as their architectural skeleton, and then their equipment. The National Zoological Museum is not so much a museum, let alone a small island. First of all, the outermost part is the ocean area. Marine animals are distributed in this ocean area. A transparent mask is distributed across the outer layer of the artificial continent. This transparent mask has been deep into the bottom of the sea, so that whether it is flying animals or marine animals, they will not leave the National Museum at the same time, but also allow them to obtain maximum freedom. Then the fenced area in the center began to divide different areas. There are deserts, gobi, high mountains, plateaus, plains, grasslands, etc. These special zones are equipped with an underground temperature control system, so that they can always be controlled in exactly the same place as the environment in which they live. After the construction is completed, the most critical step is to set up an artificial sun in addition to an animal research center in the central area. The transparent mask of the outer layer can be adjusted automatically, and it can be adjusted to be transparent, or it can be adjusted to black and opaque. In Loyang dialect, the entire area will automatically form a small ecological circle, and those animals can also carry out ecological cycles after all the terrain was arranged. The animals in those national zoos began to enter it one after another. This process was also broadcast live throughout the whole process. After seeing the magical achievements of the East, those in the West couldn't help but shout, "My God, isn't this the legendary Noah's Ark?" Indeed, in the Bible, the Noah's Ark created by God was used to house various creatures on the earth, and now the Great Eastern Promise nations are doing the same things as God. My God, this National Zoological Museum is so cool. It can be much better than those zoos. I don't know if we can go in and visit. If we can go in and visit, no matter how expensive the tickets are, I will definitely go in and visit. You can see all the animals from all over the world in the same place, and there are also different terrains. This kind of thing is so cool. Chapter 724. I saw all kinds of birds flying in the sky on the island at this time, and thousands of fish wandering in the sea. Various terrains appear in the live broadcast. It is hard to imagine that these terrains are all produced on an island. In these terrains, you can see almost all the animals in the world. This is too magical. All the terrain that exists on the earth now exists on an island. This island is simply a magical island. Unexpectedly, all animals in the world can exist on an artificial island. I feel that, after watching the live broadcast at 900, I have traveled around the entire planet. This is much more exciting than the animal world. From here you can see all the animals in the world. The construction of the National Zoological Museum was a complete success, and people were also very interested in it. And then the official announcement that they are about to build the National Botanical Museum, which aroused their interest. The National Zoological Museum is so magical. What kind of scenery will the National Botanical Museum look like? Subsequently, Ying Ziyue directly opened the picture of the construction of the National Botanical Museum. When the audience saw the picture of the Botanical Museum, Yudi began to marvel, because the construction methods adopted by the National Botanical Museum and the National Zoological Museum are completely different. Because what is collected in the National Botanical Museum is plants from all over the country, and the way plants are cultivated is much more complicated than that of animals. The National Botanical Museum is also a huge artificial island, but this artificial island looks like a layer of birthday cake. Later, the staff of the National Botanical Museum introduced that the artificial islands were set up in this way. There are certain principles, because the temperature and humidity of each plant are different. Therefore, we have set up this artificial island in the pyramid model as the cultivation of the plant museum. First of all, from the bottom to the top, the temperature of each layer is different. In order to meet the conditions of some tropical plants, we will put it at the bottom, and for some plants that grow in cold regions, we will put it at the top. Then, there is the humidity problem. When we look from left to right, the plants on the left are drier, and the plants on the right are more rainy. Then, according to this mode of operation, we classify and discharge each plant. So this pyramid pattern is formed. After the trial, the audience in the live room exclaimed again, "It turned out to be like this." I thought it was just for good looks, but the director of the National Museum is really good looking. As a bonsai, it is also very good. There are far more types of plants than animals. I don't know where the country gets so many plants. Don't you know? Eastern countries have independent plant research centers. Their mission is to collect all kinds of plants from all over the world, and then record their growth status and growth conditions. Why are you so clear upstairs? Because I'm a staff member of the Plant Research Center. Not only that, some of our staff have also been selected as the maintainers of the National Botanical Museum to maintain these precious plant samples. Shocked, the boss is by my side. Chapter 725. Soon, the National Zoological Museum and the National Botanical Museum have been completed one after another, and these two museums are dubbed by netizens as the Island of Magic and the Island of Life, because of their unique characteristics. These two islands are also very popular among netizens, but now because of space radiation, these two islands are completely closed to ordinary people. Now all the animals and plants on the Earth are contained in the National Museum. In this way, there is no need to worry about them anymore because of space radiation and other disasters leading to extinction. Not counting they are extinct, they can also clone from the biological samples in the museum, and a large number of ethnic groups can be cloned in a blink of an eye. Netizens think that the National Zoological Museum and the National Plant Museum are already created by the country, and all the content is their. No. It's not right. There is another one that has just been under construction. That is the National Mineral Museum. Because of the problem of space radiation this time, Ying Ziyue decided to build a national museum to house various minerals and space minerals. Recently, due to meteorites from outside the sky, a large amount of space minerals have fallen on the Earth. Some space minerals are harmful to the human body, such as the minerals that emit space radiation this time. There may be no problem this time, but next time, it is difficult to guarantee that there will be no space radiation, or that can harm humans. Therefore, Ying Ziyue decided to build a national mineral museum to house the world. So far, all the minerals have been discovered. Let them be housed in it and exhibited for the people. Compared with the National Plant Museum and the Zoological Museum, the National Mineral Museum is indeed much simpler, but in some respects it is much more complicated than them. First of all, the National Mineral Museum can be constructed only in a random area, and its area is much smaller than that of the Botanical Museum and the Zoological Museum. Then in the National Museum, there are a large number of glass showcases. And these glass showcases are the most critical point. These glasses must not only be resistant to heat, radiation, explosion, and cold, but also have good air tightness, good light transmission, and the ability to adjust the light at any time. In order to successfully build the National Mineral Museum, the National Research Institute has specially produced a multifunctional glass panel. Zero fine flowers. This multifunctional panel uses molecular combining technology to combine the power of multiple types of glass using technology, so that this multifunctional glass has the common characteristics of all glasses. It is strong enough to hold a missile. Not only that, whether it is placed in lava, it will not melt, or it will not break below 0. But the cost of this multifunctional glass is very expensive. It can be described as an inch of glass and an inch of gold. So after discussion, the glass cabinet originally used turned into a glass jar. These ores are stored in glass jars and then placed in display cabinets. The ore museum as a whole is opaque, and the only source of light is the artificial sun lamp above their heads. This is to ensure the environmental stability of the National Mineral Museum. Because some ores are too active, once the surrounding environment undergoes large-scale changes, it may lead to different changes. These ores are divided into ordinary ornamental ores and contained ores, as well as special active and dangerous ores according to their activity changes. Death. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.